right, thank you. Moving on to item number 5.1, we have case number 2026-18, 55th Crossing, 3rd edition, Lot 5A, Block 2 variance. This is a public hearing request by Mike Burkhardt, representing Mint Construction, owner, for a request of a variance for reduction of rear yard setback from 20 feet to 16 feet and an increase in maximum lot coverage from 40% to 45%. The legal description for the property is lots 5A, 5B, 6A, 6B, 7A, 7B, 8A, 8B, 9A, 9B, 10A, 10B, 11A, and 11B, Block 2 of 55th Crossing, 3rd edition of the City of Minot, Ward County, North Dakota. The subject property address is 1516 through 1568 47th Loop Southeast. With that, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our staff for their presentation.
Vice Chair Bauman, members of the commission, here we can see our subject property is bound in black with the 300-foot notification area bound in pink. It is located in southeast Minot. They are proposing a variance for a reduction of rear yard setback by 4 feet and an increase of allowed lot coverage by 5%. If you guys will remember, we had a variance that was similar to this that was presented last summer. Those townhomes have been constructed. The same builder is looking to fill out and finish this subdivision this summer. These lots, if you don't remember or weren't part of the group at the time, were platted previous to our current design standards for townhome lots. So it's difficult to meet these setbacks with the design, and so we've granting this variance based on the lot not conforming to our current requirements for a townhome lot, and our desire to see housing get built. So allowing townhome lots to be built with townhomes seemed like a reasonable reason to bring a variance in this case. The properties are zoned R2, two-family residential district. Adjacent, we have R3 and mobile home community district. The future land use designation is suburban residential, and you have manufactured home community to the south. Here you can see the floor plan as presented by the builder for these townhomes. Here we can see some site photos. Dan did go out and actually take current photos, as Google Earth hadn't been updated yet. As we mentioned, these were constructed last summer. So here you can see some of the other townhomes that were built under the previous variance and how they fit onto the lots. These same townhomes will be constructed and fit onto the lot in a similar manner. Here's staff finding of fact. It can be found in staff's written report. And Planning Commission has the authority to approve this case or deny this case with or without conditions. Staff does recommend that the Planning Commission adopt staff finding of fact and approve a variance to the rear yard setback of the reduction from 20 feet to 16 feet and an increase in maximum lot coverage from 40% to 45% for lots 5A, 5B, 6A, 6B, 7A, 7B, 8A, 8B, 8, 9A, 9B, 10A, 10B, 11A, and 11B, Block 2 of 55th Crossing, 3rd edition. And with that, I will stand for questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and open up the public hearing of this. First of all, we'll invite if our applicant would like to come up and speak to the commission. You're welcome to do so. Seeing we don't have anyone rushing to the podium, we're going to go ahead and open it up then. Anyone in favor of this application or hearing, or item, I should say, is welcome to come up to the podium and speak. All right, and anyone in favor or in opposition of this item is welcome to come up to the podium and speak. All right, with that, we'll close the public hearing and we'll turn it back to the council.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve based on staff finding of fact.
And I would second.
Okay, Sounds good. We have a motion by Commissioner Kibler and a second by Commissioner Amick. Any discussion? I think before we get to the vote, I'll just go ahead and say good job to our planning staff for partnering with local developers to get these arrested developments moving. We do know that we have a housing shortage on the horizon, so I'm very pleased at the progress and to see this application come forward. So with that, we'll go ahead and call the roll.
Bauman,
Yes.
Kibler,
Yes.
Fontanilla,
Yes.
Trudeau,
Yes.
Amick,
Yes.
Doctor,
Yes.
Ziegler,
Yes.
Reich,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Moving right along to item number 5.2. This is case number 2026-19, Northridge Villas, second edition, zone change. This is a public hearing request by John Zimmerman, managing member representing Northridge Villas LLC, owner for a request of a zoning map amendment from R2 two-family residential district with planned unit development to R2 two-family residential district. The legal description of the property is Northridge Villas, second addition to the city of Minot, Ward County, North Dakota. The subject property address is unassigned. With that, we'll go ahead and turn things over to staff for their presentation.
Vice Chair Bauman, members of the commission. Again, we see our subject property bound in black and our 300-foot notification area bound in pink. The applicant is proposing a zoning map amendment to remove an overlay district of a PUD. This subdivision was platted years ago. It was designed to be a private gated community. That project never came through. A single twin home is all that was built back there. So the current developer is looking to remove the PUD, which would simply just bring it back to an R1 zone, or no, R2 zoned property, which would allow for twin homes and single family homes to be built on these where they would fit. You can see there is a variation of lot sizes within here. But there was a lot of design standards and required design elements and approved elevations and all of those things in this PUD. And they're looking to just remove those and sell the lots and build the houses that the people who buy the lots want. This isn't going to be a pre-built and then sell. This is sell the lot and multiple builders can come in and build what people want. So it's removing an overlay entitlement. As you can see, the current zoning of the property is R2, two-family residential district with a PUD overlay. Adjacent, we have R1 public and R4 districts. Excuse me. The future land use designation for this property is suburban residential, and R2 would be a complementary district to that suburban residential designation. And adjacent, we have some leftover ag and open space that hasn't been developed. Here you can see an aerial view. Included in that aerial view is the single twin home that has been constructed and a foundation that was placed for an additional twin home. Again, you can kind of see the subdivision from the air here, facing, that would be east. Here is staff's finding of fact. It can be found in staff's written report. I just wanted to kind of add one other point to this application is that it actually falls into the qualifications for the revocation of a PUD. However, that requires show of cause hearings and all of those things, and the applicant has willingly come in and requested that the PUD be removed. So staff is recommending that we just take this zoning map amendment route to remove this PUD instead of going the other route of show of cause hearing and things like that. But this PUD is a, arrested development, and it has been long enough that it wouldn't really qualify to be developed under the PUD anymore anyways. Planning Commission has the authority to hear this case and recommend whether it should be approved or denied with or without conditions. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt staff finding of fact and recommend approval to City Council for a zoning map amendment of lots 1 through 35, Block 1, Northridge Villas Second Edition, from R2 single family or two-family residential district with a PUD overlay to R2 two-family residential district. And with that, I will stand for questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions for our staff? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing of this, and we'll go ahead and start with inviting our applicant to come up and speak to the commission if you would like to.
Good evening. I'm Ray Cook with the development.
I'm going to have you sign your name as well.
Good evening. We'll try that again.
Yeah.
I'm Ray Cook with the development, and we just wanted to thank the commission for even hearing the request to simplify the neighborhood and free up some much-needed space for the community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to keep moving forward then. Any members of the public who would like to come forward and speak in favor of this item are invited to do so now. All right, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move along. Anyone in favor or in opposition to this item are welcome to come to the podium now. Okay, hearing none, we're going to go ahead and close this portion of the public meeting, and we'll open it up to the commission for action.
I recommend we approve the planning commission to adopt the staff findings and facts.
I'll
presented to
second.
the city council.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Amick, and we've got a second by Commissioner Kibler. Any discussion amongst the commission? Okay. Staff, I saw there was a little bit of an interchange there. Are we good on everything? Okay. Sounds good. Then before we vote, I'll just go ahead and say once again, good job. I'm glad to see that we are getting some of these development projects that have been frozen for a while moving forward. That's one of our goals for our 2040 comprehensive plan, is to get all sorts of housing happening in a variety of different price ranges. So this is very, very good to see forward progress on this. So with that, let's go ahead and call the vote.
Bauman,
Yes.
Kibler,
Yes.
Pontanilla,
Yes.
Trudeau,
Yes.
Amick,
Yes.
Doctor,
Yes.
Ziegler, Reich,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Moving right along then. Item 5.3, this is case number 2026-20, Southgate 3rd Edition, Lot 3, Conditional Use Permit. This is a public hearing request by Wade Vogel of Premier Homes, representing company CO period Joe period LLC, owner for a request of a conditional use permit for a commercial self-storage unit on a property zoned C2 general commercial. The legal description for the property is Lot 3, Southgate 3rd Edition, to the city of Minot, Ward County, North Dakota. The subject property address is unassigned. With that, we'll have staff give their presentation.
Vice Chair Bauman, members of the commission. Again, we find our subject property bound in black and our notification area bound in pink. They are proposing a conditional use permit for commercial self-storage units in the rear of the building. As we move on to the site plan, it's important that we note that in this C2 lot, the office spaces that you see up front, the shop spaces that you see in the middle, are all permitted by right uses within this zone. They do not need a conditional use permit for either of those. The uses would then, that the lessees of each of these shops and offices then need to meet the permitted, conditional, or not allowed uses within the C2. So there may in the future be a conditional use permit that comes back for one of these shops because the use that's leasing the space would require a conditional use permit. However, the building and having a vacant shop building within the C2 district isn't allowed by right permitted use. Along the back, you can see that they have those storage units, units 14 through 23. Those are proposed commercial self-storage units to add an additional income element to this property. Those are what we are here to hear the conditional use permit application for. Again, you can see a floor plan. The current zoning for the property is C2 general commercial. There is C1, R2, and R4 adjacent. The future land use designation is general commercial. It also has urban residential adjacent. Here we can see some site photos of the property. One, we are looking west. On the right-hand side, we are looking, will be northwest. On the left-hand side here, you are looking north across the street at the apartment building. And on the right-hand side, you are looking, it would be east towards the Baymont by Wyndham, the rear of that building. Kind of place you here. Here is staff finding of fact. They can be found in staff's written report, and the Planning Commission has the authority to hear this case and decide whether it should be approved or denied with or without conditions. Staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt staff finding of fact and approve the conditional use permit for commercial self-storage with the following recommended conditions. The conditional use permit is issued to allow construction of self-storage units on site. A stormwater management plan is required for development. All outdoor storage of materials and items must be fully screened from all residential lots and public rights of way. A final site plan that meets all conditions of this permit is required before a building permit will be issued. A final site plan and development must generally comply with the site plan provided in Exhibit 2 of the staff report provided to Planning Commission and is further subject to all necessary modifications stemming from other required conditions of approval and the land development ordinance of the City of Minot. If substantial construction has not taken place within 1 year of the date on which this conditional use permit is granted, the permit is void. And with that, I will stand for questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Diedrichson. Any questions for our staff?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Mr. Diedrichson, just a point of clarification, that stormwater management plan, we can approve this plan, and then afterwards, the storm management people look at the plan, approve it, and we never see it again? Is that true?
Vice Chair Bauman, Commissioner Kibler, the stormwater management plan is a plan that's required for the development of most sites within the city unless they already have an existing plan that covers the entire subdivision. It is administratively approved by the engineering department, and if it were not approved and the applicant looked to appeal that, it would go to city council.
Administratively approved. Someone comes in and said, we are good, and they say, you're good? What is that?
Vice Chair Bauman, Commissioner Kibler, these are designed by engineers and then submitted to our engineering department where they're reviewed by more engineers. And essentially, it's my understanding that the way these plans work is you can't increase the amount of water that flows off of your property. So you have to design a way for your stormwater to be held, put into the system at the rate it is currently being put into the system.
Yeah, okay.
But
Thank
the
you.
engineers figure that out with the math.
The old math.
The math.
Any other questions for staff? I actually do have a question for you, Mr. Diedrichson, about landscaping and buffering between this particular site and then the residential site or the apartments that would be next to it. Can you describe a little bit for the public what the protections of residents who call those apartments home, to both the north and the west, would get from this development or would be guaranteed from our land development ordinance?
Vice Chair Bauman. So actually, this lot was platted prior to 2013, and so the engineers are going to take that new buffer yard amendment you guys recommended to City Council, and they're going to give us a guinea pig. or at least that has been the intention that has been brought to me by the engineer that is designing the plan. However, current requirement is a 20-foot wide landscaped buffer with a tree every 10 feet. The goal is to buffer these properties, prevent noise and light pollution. So the engineers he's gonna take a crack at bringing me a landscaping plan that uses possibly fencing and hedge type landscaping as opposed to trees to buffer the noise and light. I have made clear to the engineer that he has to show his work on how this is going to be accomplished. Different building materials do have a sound insulation value, and so they're going to have to show that they can mitigate all of the sound and light pollution that would come off of this property to prevent it from becoming a nuisance to the adjacent property, which is a multifamily residential. So,
Cool. So you as staff will look at it and sign off on that administratively then?
Vice Chair Bauman, yeah, all landscaping final approval goes, it's submitted with the building permit and approved by staff.
Sounds good. Thank you. My second question for you is about parking. You know that I like to talk about parking. It seems like an awful lot for 6 offices of varying sizes, and then potentially people who could be using it as a work storage shop or kind of a pop in, pop out location. Was there any discussion or conversation about parking? Does this fit within our current regulations or guidelines? Was there any discussion of alternative parking options?
Vice Chair Bauman, this particular applicant didn't approach us about parking. It does meet parking minimums. It does not get close to our parking maximums, but it does meet our parking minimum requirements. If the applicant were to still approach us about alternative parking, if they felt that the parking provided exceeded the need, staff would be happy to use any of the tools we have at disposal in our current land development ordinance for demonstrated parking.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. We'll go ahead and invite the applicant to come up and speak on behalf of this item first, if they so like. Oh, are you the applicant, sir? Are you the applicant? Okay, I'm going to have you wait for 2 seconds if you can just... Okay, sounds good. Are you the applicant? You are. All right. I'm going to have you just sign your name there and then speak into the microphone, please.
All right. Commissioner Bauman, or Chairman Bauman, commissioners, staff, apologize. I'm Wade Vogel. I'm here representing the developers of this project. And I'm just here, I don't have anything really to add, but I'm here to let you know that I can answer hopefully some questions if there's any questions. I know there was a question Commissioner Keebler had about stormwater management plan. And if I understand it correctly, that there is a master plan for that whole development. And we're working with more engineering, a local engineering firm here in town, and they're working on the overall plan. And we should have something finalized ready for the engineering department by the end of next week. So,
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? All right, hearing none, we'll let you sit down, Mr. Vogel, and we'll have you come up if we have any other questions. All right, at this point, we're going to go ahead and invite anyone who would like to speak in favor of the item. Anyone wanting to speak in favor? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and say anyone wanting to speak in favor or in opposition to this item. You're invited to come forward. And again, I'll just have you sign in on the sheet of paper there and then speak into the microphone, please.
Well, I guess we're involved in the property immediately to the south of this, which is quite a sizable development. And there's a retention pond bordering the south edge of this property. I just want to make sure that the drainage does not interfere or drain into this retention pond. From what I see, of course, there is no civil engineer involved yet with the drainage of the site. It seems like there's a tremendous amount of building and a small amount of parking and no room for snow storage, and the drainage is going to be critical in there. And I hope the engineering department really looks at that so it doesn't interfere with our property and adjacent property on both sides, which I'm not involved in both sides, but I am to the south.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. We have Assistant City Engineer Emily Hiddle here, and I'm just going to have her come up and speak on behalf of the engineering department to address that.
Hello, good evening, Commissioners. As was previously mentioned by a couple of folks here, there are existing regional stormwater management plans in this area. There's one for the property to the south that he was just discussing, which is actually the pond closest to this location. But there's a stormwater management plan for this property and all the ones to the north tied in with that apartment building. That's where the stormwater for this site will go. The engineers will make sure that what's proposed on this site meets what was put in the overall master plan several years ago, as long as they make sure that that happens. It's good to know of additional concerns that we can review to double check everything, but right now that is the dividing line between two regional plans, and we'll just be making sure that all the designs meet those requirements.
Thank you. I appreciate you speaking to that. All right. Any other public comments, either for or in opposition to this item? All right. Hearing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up to the commissioners.
I'd move to approve based on staff finding of fact.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion from Commissioner Kibler and a second from Commissioner Doctor. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, we will go ahead and call the question.
Bauman,
Yes.
Kibler,
Yes.
Pontanilla,
Yes.
Trudell,
Yes.
Amick,
Yes.
Doctor,
Yes.
Ziegler,
Yes.
Reich,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you. That is the end of our items here. So we're just going to keep moving, our applicants, I should say. We're going to move to item number 6, which is personal appearances. If there's anyone in the audience today who would like to come up and address the Planning Commission in a 5-minute or less time frame, we can do that now. Okay, seeing none. We're going to move on to item number 7, miscellaneous and discussion items. Tonight is the final Planning Commission meeting for one of our longtime commissioners, Annette Menham. So, Annette, we would like to say thank you for your service to the city of Minot and to our community as a whole. And let's give Commissioner Menham a round of applause. She was unable to join us in person, but this is streamed and she'll be able to hear that applause online. So thank you for that. With that, I will just extend. I know we have several new commissioners who have come aboard in the last few months. It's great to have you all here, and thank you for your service to the community. If you have any questions about protocol or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to any of the rest of us. I know I think I can speak for all of us. We're very happy to answer our experiences and kind of help you navigate some of the what is this moments of the Planning Commission life. So thanks so much. With that, we are going to go ahead and adjourn.